Hello and welcome. It's The Chat. I am Manny. My guest on the program is somebody whose qualities I admire so much. He's a lawyer, he's a human rights activist, he's a defender of people's rights. He's rugged, he's dogged. But most of all, he is one of the arrowheads of the 1993 elections, considered in Nigeria as the fairest and freest. In a moment.
Malam Bukhari Bello is one of Nigeria's brilliant lawyers. He's an advocate and human rights activist who has left indelible prints in the country's public sector. He was born in Birnin, Kebbi on the 28th of December 1956 and attended Tunuwada Primary School at the same location. He thereafter got admitted into the Federal College in Ilorin and later into a preliminary school at Ahmadu Bello University, where he studied English, literature, history and political science with the likes of Sanusi Lamido. Although he was not initially interested in law and wanted to study history instead, however, he performed excellently, combining his study with the several liberal groups he joined. In 1983, he graduated with honors. After his law school, he taught workers at various locations and had his first public job in Sokoto State, serving as a registrar at the judiciary. For a man who was not interested in law, he brilliantly rose to the position of an assistant director of public prosecution, winning several cases. In 1989, Bello was appointed as the assistant chief legal officer with the National Electoral Commission of Nigeria in Lagos, and later became the commission's director of legal services. During this time, he was the architect of all the transition and electoral laws that led to the successful elections at all levels, especially the June 12 presidential elections in 1993, which was adjudged by local and international observers as the most free and fair election ever conducted in Nigeria till date. Bukhari Bello was appointed as the Executive Secretary and Chief Operating Officer of the National Human Rights Commission. While in public service, Bello at various times attended several institutes and fellowships, which built his professional network and earned him several awards. Some of them include Fellow, International Dispute Resolution Institute IDRI, and the prestigious Nigerian National Honors Award of Member of the Order of the Federal Republic MFR. Bukhari Bello is married with children and enjoys sports, reading, writing and traveling.
Welcome to the program. Yes, and did you see yourself becoming a lawyer, or was it just a decision you made at the last moment?
No. I saw myself as becoming a lawyer because my father was a judge of the then, what do you call them that time? The native courts. And it's not area courts as we call them now. They are called native courts at that time. My father was a judge. So I grew up in a family of judges. His brothers and cousins were judges. So it was natural for me to study law.
Once you wanted to become the governor of Kebbi State.
Yeah.
And it didn't happen. Why? Is it because the elections were not conducted the way you wanted them to be?
Well, you know, the Nigerian politics, how it is. I really wanted to offer my services to the people of Kebbi State and Nigeria too. And I think the best way to start was to go home and contest for that position. But, you know, we have a big problem in Nigeria, not in all parties when it comes to internal democracy of parties. Internal democracy is a very important thing because that's what ensures that the one the people want is the one that is presented for election. But where you have an election that limits is to a handful of people who are called delegates, who can be controlled by money bags, then you have a problem there. And that's what the problem we have now, even now. There's been a lot of problems of people going to for nominations for primaries, and because there's no internal democracy, other people are imposed. And they still go to court for all these pre-election petitions that go on and on forever.
It is on record here that you have traveled around every state in Nigeria.
I did. Everywhere.
36 states?
That's 6 states. Not only the capitals, even the villages.
What were you looking for?
I have a lot of friends. I have friends everywhere.
Seriously?
Seriously, everywhere I have friends.
So it wasn't about politics at the time?
No. Politics is just later, after I retired from service, which I started in 2013.
If you were, the president of a country like Nigeria, what are the 3 most important things you would tackle first?
Poverty.
Poverty, yes.
Yeah, that's one of the greatest problems that we have in this country, because it breeds ignorance. A lot of ignorance. People don't know things, and they can be
But Nigeria has
manipulated.
always had a history of poverty.
Yeah,
anyway.
but we
What
have
makes
to
it
eradicate
different?
it. We have to eradicate it, or at least you have to minimize the poverty. There's poverty. I mean, in other countries, quite all right, but Nigeria's own, you have to really, because of the population also. Poverty is my number 1. Number 2 is
So how would you go about eliminating poverty or reducing poverty?
so that you make policies that will empower people to take care of themselves. You use the resources you have to also empower other people, like in agriculture, in trade, industries, so that people can really find meaningful employments to take care of themselves, not to give them handouts or anything like that, but let the people themselves give them the ways and means of realizing their ambition.
Okay, that's number 1. So what would be number 2 for you?
Corruption. Corruption is one of the greatest violations of human rights anywhere in the world, because corruption breeds. That's why you got hospitals, you don't have drugs, you don't have equipment. It's all corruption, because government might have actually budgeted for this, but some people will go and buy something that is not up to standard, or they may not even buy it at all. And not only there, or even when you talk of education, money is being budgeted for books, for classrooms. They are done substandard, or they are not done at all. Many instances of things where that happen is because of corruption. You find that Nigeria now has the highest maternal mortality rate. It has been like that since, I think, in the 90s, because of this issue of lack of primary health care. It's just primary health care. We're not even asking for specialists, hospitals whereby you do this cardiology and all that. Just basic primary health care. We lack it in Nigeria. And that is a big problem. And it is caused by corruption.
Okay, so you're coming to the 3rd one now, the 3rd most important. Then what will that be?
Lack of unity. You see, because this country, Nigeria, is very diverse.
Is that the same as tribalism?
Well, I don't want to call it tribalism, because there are so many things in terms of lack of unity. It could be tribalism, it could be religious differences, it could be other things, or even linguistic differences. You see, with our diversity, we are supposed to be among the best countries. Because if you look at all big countries, great countries, they built it because of their diversity. Diversity is an asset. Unfortunately, Nigeria is a liability. And I don't know, I really find it difficult, because I was brought up in a very liberal society with my friends from everywhere in this country since when I was in primary school. I really don't understand these differences. I mean, it is something that came later in life when I see people, but I still maintain my own, my own mind about it. I still maintain my own position, that I don't see anybody, what's wrong between you and me, no matter where you are.
I was just thinking, in 2015, when you were trying to become governor of Kebbi State, what sort of promises were you taking to the people there?
Promises for their welfare and their security. That's the most, because the paramount purpose of government is the welfare and security of the people. When you give people security and you take care of their welfare, definitely they'll be very productive. Definitely you will achieve a lot of things.
Some people have thought, for many reasons, that there are too many states in this country. Perhaps we should prune down the number of states that could not sustain, economic viability on their own. And do you think Kebbi State is one of them?
No, tell me, how many states in Nigeria are viable? How many?
Well, don't ask me. I'm asking.
No, yeah, because I look at Nigeria and I see what they do, how many states are viable in Nigeria. There are not many. There are very few. You see, but this was done during the military regime. States were created. mainly to assuage the fears of the minorities. So they created states so that people who feel that they are dominated by other, what they call major tribes, can also have a space for themselves. That was why it was created. Whether it is right or not, I don't know. But for me, I would prefer we had maintained our regions as they were before. That would have been more.
How many of the regions? Once there were three, then become four.
There are four. The ones that were created constitutionally. Northern region, Western region, Midwestern region, and Eastern region. I wish we had maintained that structure.
But what worries you most about our politics today?
Well, the greatest problem about our politics is lack of internal democracy within the parties. And so the people who are supposed to elect, who are supposed to elect the candidates, do not have a choice. The people are imposed upon them because they don't have that right to go and. Only a few cases. Like when you are going to do primaries, the ideal thing is that all party card carrying members should go and vote for the person who should be there. But in most cases, we do indirect primaries by appointing delegates. These delegates, all of them were appointed by the governor who was there. If he's contesting, how could they vote against him? So from the beginning, it was not a fair contest. Anyway, you understand? Or they will say, okay, come and do primaries by delegates. Maybe the person who has the largest purse, who has more money, is going to win. But the person with the more money doesn't mean that he's going to give the dividends of democracy to the people when he comes to the power.
I was just about to ask you, the quality of politicians we have in the country today, do you think these are the sort of people that will, move the country forward? A lot of people don't think so.
I don't think so too. Because you see, Nigerian politics is a politics not of service. People are in politics to make money. People are in politics to plunder the nation, our commonwealth. People are in politics just for self-aggrandizement, but they don't serve the people. Actually, the people serve them, because people enter politics and before you know it, they have emptied the treasury.
How can we stop this trend? Because it's all about money, isn't it? It's all about money. If you have money, you can become even the president of this country.
Yeah, so that's
Is
why.
that not so?
Yeah, that's why we say, well, sometimes right now we have a president who had no money, and he became president. Well, that's an exception. But generally speaking, people with money in Nigeria are the ones that win elections because they manipulate the system and manipulate the people. And then the parties themselves, like I said, which I keep emphasizing, lack of internal democracy within the party, whereby they could allow all card members to go and vote for the person they want in the primaries. Then you know that you are defeated fairly and squarely because everybody was given a chance. You have the chance to go around and converse and do this. And then again, the issue of education. Our people are not really very educated about issues. And some of them, because of the poverty that we have, can be seduced by some pittance, and they will take it and think that, okay, that is what they are. So you need a lot of education to public enlightenment about issues. You need also to show example of people who plunder the wealth, the commonwealth. Show example of sanctioning them, punishing them, taking them to court and prosecuting them, and to show that they did what they are not supposed to do, that they took money from there, or they did this, or they took this person's land for themselves because they have the power to do so.
If you were to have dinner with President Ibrahim Babangida and President Muhammadu Buhari, who would you prefer to have dinner with?
Of course, Muhammadu Buhari.
Why?
Because
he is.
I believe that he is a much more honorable man.
Okay, and he shares the same name as you.
No. That has got nothing to do with it. That's got nothing to do with it. Don't forget that Ibrahim Babangida was the one who annulled the junta of election.
Okay, that's enough pain for you.
Yeah, and I told you that set Nigeria backwards so many years, and we have not recovered from it up till now.
Have you ever confronted him to say that to him?
Why should I?
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's take a break. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
So read out the question.
Have you ever encountered any violation of your rights?
Wow. Have you?
Yeah, I have.
Tell us about it.
Well, the
next
most
time.
interesting one that I would say.
So your rights have even been violated.
Yeah, no, there was attempt to do so, but I had to come in and, take care of my rights too.
Okay, what was this right that was violated?
In this very house that we are sitting in here, this very house, sometimes I can't remember, was it 2002 or 2003 or so? Julius Berger, that's the house opposite me here. There was a rock and somebody wanted to build. So when they come and went to do it, then they left notice on all our doors on this street that tomorrow they are going to do this. Therefore, they advise everybody to move away from the area for a certain time. That is, the next day was going to be Friday. That we should all be away for about some certain hours and come back maybe around 5 or 6. I come back from work around 9 o'clock. Normally, I stay in the office very late. So I come back around 9 or 10. I saw the notice. It was already night. I was so, furious about it. I said, how could anybody do this? How can you come and disturb the peace and tranquility of a whole neighborhood just because you want to build a house and that's why you want to move a rock? There are many ways of doing so. So I quickly prepare papers. Early in the morning, I went to court. We went to court to restrain them from doing that. And that was it. The court gave them injunction that they should not do anything like that. And that's how we stayed. So they had to go. The house is now built up, but they had to find another way of doing it. So you can see that's one area that I felt my right was threatened, and I took prompt action against Julius Berger.
You have a national award.
That's it.
Right? That's the MFR.
Yeah.
You got this award in 2000. What year was this?
2003.
2003. That was under President Obasanjo.
Yeah.
Why do you think you were given a national award at that time?
Well, actually, I was taken aback when it was given to me at that time, because I know that we had a running battle with President Obasanjo on issues of human rights. By then, I was the Chief Executive Officer of National Human Rights Commission, the Executive Secretary. So when it was announced that...
So he didn't like you, so to speak?
No, no, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying that, as the Chief Executive of Human Rights Commission, you have to come in conflict with government.
Yes.
If you are doing your job, you must come in conflict with government, with the police, with the army, with government policies themselves, which you criticize. And I know from one of the attorneys general who served that time, that the president was not happy with the way I was going about some of the things that I was doing. So
Did you care?
No, I never cared, because if you are cozy with government, then you're not doing your job. So it tells me that I'm doing what I'm doing is right.
Right. You worked while in government with 5 attorney generals, is that consecutively and successively, right? You worked as special assistant to 5 attorney generals. That's a record.
Yeah, it is a
What
record.
kept you in there for that long?
That's my area, actually. So that's one of the finest times I had was in Federal Ministry of Justice. And at the moment I came, the then Attorney General said he wants me to be his one of his special assistants. So I was. Then the next one came, Onaguro came. I continued with him. He left. Abamuche came. I don't know Abamuche from Adam. I don't know Onaguro from Adam. They say, Bello, you should continue doing this job.
But that obviously was because of your legal background, isn't it? Or did you have any special thing that you brought to the table?
You can't be special assistant to Attorney General unless you have legal background.
You are chairman of the board of the Federal Road Safety. What does that mean to you?
Well,
in terms of challenge, in terms of, appreciation, in terms of, career.
Well, the chairman of the board is a political appointment, given it's not a permanent job. It is a temporary kind of thing. You are not the chief executive of the Federal Road Safety Commission. You are just chairman of the board. The board guides on policy decisions and policies of the board. And It's a challenge, quite all right, like any other job. But you know, people look at Nigeria. Unfortunately, look at road safety just like the law enforcement aspect of it. But it's actually a human rights issue.
If you had your way, what sort of changes would you like to effect?
Well, the changes that we are actually effecting changes. Right now, there's a bill before the president that we have submitted for amendment to some of these laws, issues of public enlightenment, issues of sanctions, issues of powers of the law enforcement agencies, especially, it is more so of a public enlightenment unit to educate the public. We do not want to insist on the punishment aspect. I mean, we should look at the public enlightenment, because they say prevention is cure.
On your road to becoming 70, what are your plans?
I'm very far from 70, but I've just started. So my plans is to serve Nigeria in whatever capacity, and they serve humanity. That's what I like doing most.
Would you like to be president of Nigeria?
Of course, why not? One day, if I get the chance, I will do so.
You would have made enough money then, wouldn't you?
Who knows? Maybe that time there would be no money. Buhari didn't have money when he became president.
Okay.
So things can happen.
So what are you going to rely on then?
I rely on the goodwill of the people and the trust they have on me to deliver dividends of democracy.
Now, this segment of the program, Castaway, allows you only 5 items to take along with you as you're being cast away to an island for 10 days. What will these items be?
Castaway. Well, number one, I would want to go with a copy of my Holy Quran.
Okay.
So that would give me a chance to further, educate myself. Second, I would like to have a transistor radio, then a phone,
Okay.
A lot of papers and pen to
So
write.
that's some writing material.
Writing materials, yeah, so
Okay.
that I can write.
Do you write a lot, or you prefer reading? Which one?
I do both.
There's the last one now, number 5.
Okay, I'll go with my praying mat.
Okay, your praying mat.
Yeah.
Of course, that's expected. How many are there at home? Wives?
Oh, I've got one wife.
You're insisting on that.
By this time, isn't it obvious?
No, but it is not difficult to say that most people, you're a Muslim. I mean, you're entitled to 4 wives.
That is a wrong interpretation of Islam.
Is it?
Given by people who do it to suit their own, feelings or the way they want things to be done.
Tell me about that. So I'm wrong to think that as a Muslim you're not entitled to 4 wives?
Well, it says you are entitled, but there's a caveat to it.
Can you explain this then?
It says that you can marry 1 or 2. Not that you just marry 4. No, they say you can marry 1 or 2 or 3 or even 4. But the caveat is that you have to be just to them, to be justice, to eat them, to them equally.
Okay.
And as a human being,
It's not something you can do. Is it?
No,
It's
yeah,
not
because-
something
because,
you're capable
I'm
of.
a human being. I'm not perfect. Therefore, it's so difficult for you to do justice to 4 or 2 or even 2.
Okay.
Even the one that you have to think. Sometimes you don't do justice. You know that.
Yeah.
Even the one that you have. So what more when you have multiple?
So did you marry your friend? The woman you married, was she your friend, or was just by the way?
No, we met in different circumstances, but not that we have known each other for a long time. No, but we met and we clicked, and that was it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Clicking.
Yeah.
I'm trying to understand that. Clicking. Okay, but I mean, she's left you with many children, hasn't she?
Yeah, yeah.
Lovely. How many are there?
6.
You must have been hardworking too.
Yeah, I'm very hardworking.
You have our best wishes, in the future.
Thank you very much, Manny. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much
So,
for being on the program.
thanks a lot.
It's been the chat with Bukhari Bello, and I am Manny. Bye for now.